Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips, joined by Gamecock Central staff writer Collyn Taylor. We're going to talk some baseball today, Collyn, and you and I have not yet discussed Mark Kingston, the new Gamecock head baseball coach. His staff was announced last week, Collyn, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. You know, there's been a lot of anticipation about the hire of the new Gamecock baseball coach, and, you know, Kingston has been on campus, been on the Gamecock staff for a couple of weeks now, but his staff was not finalized until last week. So we wanted to talk about the new Gamecock baseball staff. You know, we feel like South Carolina is one of the premier jobs in all of college baseball, and a lot of Gamecock fans getting to know Mark Kingston and finding out more about him. So we're going to talk about him today here on GCR and his new staff as well. There are a few holdovers and some new additions to the Gamecock staff as well. Let's start, Collyn, with the coaches, assistant coaches who have been retained by Mark Kingston. We start with Jerry Myers, retained as the pitching coach. Gamecock fans very familiar with him. Stuart Lake will return as an assistant coach and the camp coordinator. And Tyson Lusk is retained as the director of baseball operations. Lusk joined the Gamecocks in 2013. And Kingston has added two assistants, two new coaches to the staff as well. And we're going to talk extensively about these guys today. Mike Current joins the staff as a recruiting coordinator. He worked 3 years at South Florida under Kingston, worked as a hitting coach, recruiting coordinator, and also worked with the outfielders. Mike Current worked previously 9 years at Illinois State, helped build up that baseball program. They had some success there at Illinois State. So Mike Current has joined the Gamecock staff. And another coach that I think folks, you know, baseball people are excited about is Trip Couch, the director of player development, who comes to Carolina from the University of Houston. 2 stints there for Trip Couch. He also worked at Louisiana Lafayette and Texas. He's a former Major League scout with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Also worked 1 year as an assistant coach with Team USA. So Trip Couch and Mike Current, the two new faces that will be a part of Mark Kingston's staff with Gamecock baseball, Collyn.
Right, and I think that, you know, just on face value that, you know, what Kingston's done in his first few weeks, he's put together a really rock star staff. Jerry Myers has always been a player favorite. Knows a lot about the game from talking to some of the guys that have been committed to South Carolina. Really, really knowledgeable. Knows what he's talking about. And then Stuart Lake is also a player favorite as well. Spent a lot of time at the end of last year working with players on their hitting and kind of taking an interest in making sure that the guys felt comfortable and were really coached up well in terms of hitting. Spent a lot of nights in the batting cages with them. And then you add, you know, Coach Current and Coach Couch here, and Coach Current is pretty well respected on the recruiting trail. Has already been out, I think, to see a lot of the guys come into the 2018 and 2019 classes 5, 6, 7 times over the past summer in some summer ball tournaments. Then you got Trip Couch, who's a pretty accomplished assistant coach, who's maybe not going to have more on the field role this upcoming season, but I'm going to be able to help out off the field and kind of get players right for practice and games and things like that. So on the surface, it seems like an absolute rock star staff for Kingston, who's has some, you know, not a whole lot to go, but still needs to work up and get to Omaha because fans have really, really wanted that over the past 5 years.
Yeah, you know, the Gamecocks haven't been to Omaha since they went to the College World Series Finals 3 years in a row in 2010, 11, and 12, won the national title in 10 and 11, and nearly pulled off the first three-peat in college baseball in more than 40 years. So Gamecock baseball had built a dynasty under Ray Tanner, but have not been back to Omaha since Ray Tanner left the head baseball coaching position for the athletic director's job. So Chad Holbrook resigned at the end of this past season, Collyn, and he has now been hired as the new head baseball coach at the College of Charleston. I wanted to get your thoughts on that and wanted to get you to tell us more about Mark Kingston. What do our fans need to know about him? We know he built South Florida into a very solid baseball program. South Florida not known as a baseball powerhouse, obviously, but Mark Kingston, really one of the rising names in college baseball.
Right. First of all, I'm very happy for Coach Holbrook. I hope he succeeds down there. It was fun covering him. I've been in Gamecock Central now 2 years, and it was a lot of fun getting to cover his teams and kind of go on the road and see how he coaches. And he's just a good guy, really good with the media as well. So I wish him nothing but the best down in Charleston. I hope he succeeds. But going back to Kingston, I think it's going to be, he's a guy he's intense. People that I've talked to said that, you know, he wants to win and he wants to win right away. And he's about, he cares about the players. He wants them to do well, and he just wants to he wants to win. That's the bottom line, and he's very, very intense and very passionate about what he does, and the players really, really resonate with that. They like that. They want to play for a guy like that because he wants to win just as much as the players do. And I think he's a family man. He said that in his press conference, and I think he treats his players like he would his sons or daughters. And so I feel like it's a very familial atmosphere right now, and players are really excited to get on the field and start working with him because he does want to win just as much as they do, and he loves coaching the game.
Collyn, talk about returning talent for Mark Kingston on this Gamecock roster. We know the Gamecocks have lost a couple of good starting pitchers to the major leagues or to the draft back in June. So, this is kind of an annual process for the Gamecocks where they lose top players to the major league draft, and you got to plug in new players every year. So Kingston will be faced with that challenge going into 2018. Talk about top players coming back and what Kingston has got to work with and some new players that the Gamecocks may lead on next year. And then let's talk about fall ball and preparations for 2018.
Right. So obviously Adam Hill is kind of the anchor of that pitching staff. He's been the Sunday starter with spot starts on Fridays and Saturdays in the SEC for his first 2 years on campus. But the junior year, without Clark Schmidt, without Will Crow, who had both departed for the majors, he is going to take over the Friday night role. But other than that, it's still a work in progress of who takes over Saturday and Sunday. But in terms of offense, it's a lot of returning guys. You have L.T. Tolbert, who played really well last year. You have Jacob Olson, who played well at times last year. T.J. Hopkins, who's coming off injury, who was supposed to have his breakout season last year that kind of got derailed from injury. And then you have Carlos Cortez, who had arguably one of the best, seasons in the SEC last year as a freshman. So he's coming back, and he's going to be a major contributor, whether it's in the outfield or as a designated hitter or even in the infield. He's played some of that in high school. And then you have Jonah Bride at third base coming back for his senior season, and Chris Collyn, who had injured his knee last year, who's also going to come back for his junior year, hopefully come back stronger from knee surgery. And then you have a couple guys coming in. Noah Campbell and Kyle Jacobson are two guys that were really, really highly rated coming out of high school. Kyle Jacobson's an outfielder. Noah Campbell is an infielder that were both highly rated. Were tempted to go to the pros, but opted to come to school instead, as well as Logan Chapman and Corey Stone, who were both trying to get pushed to go pro right out of school or right out of high school, but instead opted to spend at least 3 years in South Carolina and kind of get bigger and stronger and improve their pitching. And I think all four guys have the ability to play early in their career at South Carolina, going maybe even into the starting rotation or starting lineup first few weekends of the year.
Collyn, talk about Kingston's decision to retain Jerry Myers as the pitching coach. Obviously, he could have gone any number of directions as far as hiring a pitching coach. If he'd have wanted to bring in somebody new, certainly he would have had no problem finding several qualified candidates to choose from. But Myers certainly will help the Gamecocks with recruiting, and that had to be a consideration for Mark Kingston.
Right, and I think there's a level of familiarity with Jerry Myers for the guys that are going to stay on with that pitching staff. They know kind of his style of coaching, and they know kind of what to expect from him. There won't be a period of adjustment that there usually is with a coaching change because they know him so well. And I think with the recruits, I mean, it gives this comfortability level that you know what you're going to get at South Carolina, and you know kind of what to expect when you get there. And you know, Myers helps recruit some of these pitching prospects from across the Southeast and across the country, so they feel more comfortable about going to South Carolina when Myers is that pitching coach there. So that helps out a lot, I think, retaining a guy like Jerry Myers.
All right. Start of a new era for Gamecock baseball. The Mark Kingston era is underway. His staff is firmly in place now, and talking about it today with Collyn Taylor here on Gamecock Central Radio. Collyn, thanks for your time. I know it's a busy time for you covering Gamecock football with preseason camp getting underway, and obviously Gamecock fans are turning their attention toward the start of the new football season. But this is a big development, obviously, this summer with Mark Kingston taking over for Chad Holbrook. So we wanted to take a few minutes to talk about it today on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Never too early to start talking baseball.
That's right. Fall ball cranks up when, Collyn?
Usually about the third week of football season. So late September, and they usually go for about, I want to say, 5 to 6 weeks usually.
Okay.
With
All right.
weekend scrimmages.
Great. We'll talk more Gamecock baseball then. For Collyn Taylor, I'm Emerson Phillips. This is Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for being with us.